going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Lauren Khalil, who is at a remote location. Lauren, where are you?
It is very remote out here. It reminds me of an African safari. It's
You look like on the set of Jurassic Park.
I pretty much am. They have those types of vehicles as well that we ride around this whole ranch. It's called the HWPO Ranch in Careville, Texas.
Careville.
Insane. Just to like drive through the ranch, it takes you about 30 minutes to get from point A to point B.
Ooh.
If that gives you an idea of where I am.
Okay, and you're there for the tactical games. There's a national qualifier going on this weekend, correct?
There is, and we looked at the running trail that they have to go through as a team later this weekend, and it made me realize that I don't want to be an athlete.
Yeah, there ain't no running through no trail. Come on now.
I love that. That's the best part.
Yeah, Jeeps.
Well, do you realize that here they have snakes, they have scorpions? This morning, a wolf spider appeared in the kitchen, and I almost stepped on it, and I screamed so loud.
No,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's why I'm sitting up high on a chair to keep everything on the ground away from my feet.
Oh my God.
If I saw a wolf spider, I would have a flamethrower with me at all times, dressed in a suit of armor, and probably have some sort of cudgel in the other hand that I could just, after I completely, totally toasted it, I would just beat it into oblivion.
One time at CrossFit HQ, do you remember when the wolf spiders came in?
No.
Oh,
so I have just blocked it from my mind.
They have them in California too?
Yeah, they have them in California. There was something that happened up because HQ sits up in like the hills a little bit, and there's like a lot of wooded area. Something had happened. Either it was like a flood or like a fire nearby, and then a bunch of smoke came out, and it flushed out like a couple of wolf spiders. I think the president himself, Wilson Tang, was like, "Yo, guys, there's a wolf spider in like the hallway."
Yep, it'd be like, "I'll see you in a month."
Yeah, I was like,
I'm working remote from now on.
It like cut to me, and I had like flint, and I was like starting a fire in the corner, being like, "Oh, so we're not burning this place down."
Yeah, too bad we can't stay.
Yeah, it was the most disgusting looking thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, you know what? That is let's segue to something that we all love, not wolf spiders, but our sponsor for today, and that is Vuori. A new perspective on performance apparel that is perfect if you are sick and tired of the same old workout gear. Because not only does Vuori clothing feel good and just move well in the gym, it also looks great outside of the gym for everyday activities like running errands, lounging around, traveling, yoga, you name it. Vuori makes a piece of clothing that you can use for that activity. We are such huge fans of Vuori. Every time I travel, put the joggers on. Lauren is adorned in head to toe in Vuori. It is a new level of comfort. And you can go to vuoriclothing.com/TEF, I believe is the website that they have. You're going to automatically get 20% off. You're going to love whatever you get, but I do need to apologize because you will now have a clothing habit that you need to support.
And it's not just for you, it's for your significant other too, because they will see what's happening and they're going to be like, "Oh, that looks nice. I want to get me some of that." I mean, fellas, we're talking training shorts, both lined or unlined. The bank short is almost like a board short style training short. That's phenomenal. It's my go-to training short. You have like casual shorts, you have chinos, pants, everything you could want, shirts, jackets, the whole shebang. Literally, you can spend an entire week. You can go train in the gym. You can go hit the golf course. You can go hit brunch. You can go out to dinner, and you can have something from Vuori for all of it. Every single piece that they make, high quality, comfortable, looks snazzy. They just released the spring line. It looks fantastic. I mean, for me, it's a win-win across the board. Everything they make is gold, and you always get compliments. And I always just seed it out there. New additions to everybody.
And people want to feel you too. They're like, "What is that shirt?" I go, "Vuori." And they come up and they start to feel you.
That could be a good or a bad thing depending on your preferences.
Come touch me clothes is what it is.
Exactly. VuoriClothing.com HWPO.com/TEF. You're automatically going to get 20% added to your order. Go check it out. Weather's getting warmer. I got my Vuori core shorts on right now. I'm a big fan of the lined ones. Those things are chef's kiss. So check them out, guys. And again, I apologize because you are going to develop a clothing habit. And you're going to throw out all your old stuff and you're going to replace it with Vuori, because that's essentially what I have done with every pair of shorts that I own, that I wear in and out of the gym. Absolutely love them. Okay, let's get to it today. Competition schedule for the week. Obviously, CrossFit quarterfinals have begun. Next week, we'll know more or less who's going to advance to semifinals, and those fields will be set for every division because the teams have already gone, and we'll be keeping you up to date on that. Next week, we'll have a full recap of everything that's going on and set the table for semifinals, because then we're going to actually have in-person live competition. We mentioned the tactical games qualifier going on in Mountain Home, Texas. That's where Lauren is, approximately someplace in that vicinity, and she'll have social media coverage for you all weekend long on that event. And then in the strongman world, Australia's strongest man and woman competition going on in Sydney, Australia. And we have to congratulate Luke Stoltman for winning Europe's strongest man last week. And if you guys have ever been around any strongman event, you know, the Stoltman brothers, Luke and Tom, very popular. And Luke is a guy who reminds me a lot of just some of the most popular CrossFit athletes. They're always out. He's always out talking to fans, stays after competitions, takes pictures. Great guy. So congratulations to him. So not a lot on the calendar, but some pretty cool events that you can keep an eye on if you see fit. All right, let's get into headlines for this week. The CrossFit quarterfinal workouts have been released. They were released yesterday, a little bit early, and there's a reason for that. Yeah. That Boz confirmed when he was speaking with the crew from CrossFit Mayhem.
Yeah, and I kind of talked about it when we were chatting offline when they did come out. Something similar happened a couple years ago when we had Boz on. There is basically a process with the website and how it caches, where there's up to, I think, a potential 15-minute delay with it. So they want to make sure that no matter what, by noon or by the time exactly, it will be up, guaranteed, even with any caching issues. So they will post them early, with the understanding that if it does turn around quick and it is up a few minutes early, that's totally fine. They're okay with allowing a few extra minutes for people, but they do not want to cut into the time that they said. So it's kind of an intentional thing and is understandable. And it happened a couple years ago, if people remember too. And it's more of a precautionary thing with how the website and posting updates. But the issue was that there were some mistakes ultimately when they did post. The videos for workout 1 and 2 were swapped.
That's minor.
And had to be adjusted. And the score submissions listed in the email correspondence to athletes and people announcing the workouts were wrong. The later workouts were sent having listed in the body of the email saying Sunday at 5 p.m. is the score submission deadline.
Which it is not.
Which it is not. And it's in isolation, it's an oversight, whatever, but it is just another one of the many little death by 1,000 cuts type things that keeps happening, that I think a lot of people, multiple people were talking about at the gym. I've chatted with a few people talking about it, and this is just one of those things where, like, these are the things that hold us back from just being a buttoned up professional sport. Yeah. And I mean, I can certainly see that as a criticism. And, you know, at the same time, it's also just like, we got to get these little things right, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
It's unfortunate.
And there was some confusion too about the weight for the women in workout number 1.
The first workout. Yeah. And
what's the official ruling on that?
So the score sheet on CrossFitGames.com says it's 85 pounds, but one of the posts that CrossFit put up with Boz and the whiteboard, it had it as 95 pounds.
But the official ruling is 85 because that's what's on the score sheet, correct?
Yeah, I would say that that's the final. Final.
Yeah, score sheet scorecard, movement standards, website description, what they emailed out to everyone else says 85.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, that's
Go
kind of
with
what you
that.
default to. Yeah. But
And
it's just
yeah, I know. It's one of those things where it's like you said, we got to get these little things right, and it's almost expected now that something like this is going to happen.
That's what's unfortunate, and I hope we don't get to that because I caught myself yesterday. Someone was like, "Oh, it's just another thing," and I just kind of shrugged, and I was like, "Wait, you don't want that to happen. You don't want
Right.
apathy to pour in towards the mistakes because that's when it just like becomes like this slippery slope type situation where if people start tuning out and just start kind of throwing their hands up and being like, whatever, like that's
Bar lowers.
yeah, the bar lowers and people stop caring.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. So we got to start getting these little details right because if it's equally bad too when like email comes out and you're like, oh, here comes a correction email loading because that's going to be coming down the pipe soon. It's yeah,
right. But look, at the same time, 4 workouts that I think is we talked about this a lot in various outlets that I think give everybody a chance to play here, but have a lot of room for separation.
Yeah.
And if I had been able to do all 3 open workouts and not jacked up my knee, I would have signed up for this. I mean, there are a couple of those that would have been a slog for me, but I would be like, hey, this is a good challenge. This is a good challenge for me where I know I can do some of these movements. There's some I can't. I mean, if I even, by the grace of God, got to the wall-facing handstand push-ups, not happening. Like, just not happening.
Yeah.
But I would like to see if I could get there, or if I could even just get through the strict ones. So I really think it's a really good, well-programmed quarterfinals that gives as many people who, like me, who have no design, like all of us, we're not going to the semifinals, but we can really challenge ourselves in every one of these workouts. And Tommy, you've already done one, right?
Yeah, I've done one. I right after it got posted, I knocked out the heavy lifting one.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give it a go. Because I think it's something I could repeat later and just it's not gonna absolutely destroy me, but it also was a good one to just kind of prime the system for me. Yeah, and that's what you hope, right? Like that's why you want the little things cleaned up because you don't want it to overshadow things like, hey, these are 4 good tests that I think a lot of people can participate in. Boz said it himself, and he had a chance. He sat down with Rich and the Mayhem crew, and Rich even said like, hey, these are clearly more accessible, but there is places to separate. And Boz said, hey, we want people feeling comfortable. We're running these tests in their affiliates during class time. And I think you could do that for all of them, given the layouts and the equipment demands for these. So it does fit more in line with the themes of what they have been promoting through the open programming and the season thus far. So if you did your homework, this fits in line. And even some tests feel like a JV varsity version of some of the tests that we saw earlier. And I think when you start to put those themes and threads together, it works really nicely for at least sticking to what you say you're going to do and filtering people in a way that's consistent and cohesive.
And we're going to talk to Boz here. I'm going to talk to Boz here later on in the show. We'll go through these workouts individually. I know, Lauren, you're really looking forward to doing that wall ball box jump one.
Screw you, Sean.
That's right in the wheelhouse.
I saw that and I was like, I don't like Karen even just as Karen, but now you're adding extra stuff to Karen. This is my nightmare.
To me, that one is just going to murder people because it's like you can go from I was talking with coach at NC Fit, Frankie, this morning about this, about how like you can go on those wall balls. Like you want to go all out. Well, good luck getting yourself up and over that box, on that first second. Because you know how you have those heavy legs when you get off the old, like you go to a salt bike or something, you go to jump and you just can't get your legs up high enough. Like, man,
honestly, I forget who this past year at the games, it was the chipper with the pig out at North Park. Do you guys know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I forget who it was, but it was on the men's elite side, and somebody was doing quick sets of 5, and I think that might be my strategy for this one.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
So we'll see.
I mean, if we want to dig into them, I can, because I think there are very clear themes that guide strategy, at least for the average person, for me and like myself, in all 4 of these. There's like a couple things that immediately jumped out to me for each test, um, that I think is definitely like worth going, and like the notes that I have, because and they're all different enough to where I think like it starts to put together. It forces people into some uncomfortable conversations
No
around when
question.
you're going to do them and what you're going to and how you're going to order them, and it's it's pretty gnarly. I that second test, as soon as it got posted, the first one got posted and it was up early, and then the rest of the test came up, and I'm sitting in the gym and I'm doing some work for us here, and I hear someone go, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I just threw up in my mouth." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Check test 2." And I look over and I'm like, 3 rounds, 50 wall balls, 50.
Yeah.
What? And I just like,
I'm
I
getting capped on that. Like, I mean, what is the cap?
Oh, yeah, 20 minutes. So it's
Oh,
a 20-minute
yeah.
AMRAP for me.
You could time me with a calendar on that workout.
there's there's these things that we used to in the gym we used to call a loading bar knockout.
Mhm.
You know, like when someone gets clipped or gets hit in like the kidney, and
Yeah.
you have to wait for the loading screen to
Uh-huh.
fill up, and then they fall down.
Mhm.
That's what this one
That's
was. It
bad.
was like you read the 50 burpees, and then it takes a little while for the loading bar to finish on what that volume is going to be, and you're like, "Oh Lord,
Yep.
oh
Oh, Lord,
no,
Lord.
Yep.
oh." But
Well, I
That
think
one's
these
nasty.
workouts are interesting because to me, quarterfinals was kind of the stage where things got flashy and you saw some really unique styles of programming for workouts. But I think this year it's less flashy and more just how well do you know yourself as an athlete with your own strategy, and how like close are you willing to push that line? Because even looking at workout 1 with these intervals, I can't tell you the amount of people that are probably going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go touch and go and I'm going to hold on to the barbell for cluster sets or something.
Or not.
But if you know yourself and you read this, think about what your grip is going to feel like
Yeah.
with everything you're holding on to over the course of
Mhm.
all of those intervals. So I do think, even though I personally only like the last workout because I like the barbell,
Mhm.
I think that these can be really good tests to push people's level of fitness and I do think that they are appropriate for a top 25% to be able to do, because I even look at the one with ring muscle ups and all of the work before that, and I can do ring muscle ups, not
Yeah.
well, but I don't
But
think I'm
you
even
ain't getting there.
get there. I
No,
know I'm
I
not
wouldn't
gonna get
either.
there. I don't
But I
think
would
I
but I
will.
would wanna see how far I could get in this one. It's
100%.
enough of a like, it's uphill, but I can make it up the hill, kinda. Like, I can
Yeah,
climb that
just with
hill.
the
It's
cap.
not right, exactly. So
15
yeah,
minutes? Oh, yeah. There's 60 toes to bar in the first
no,
portion. That's a
I'm
lot for
I'll be
me.
lucky to get to the first round.
so do we want to go through these, because
Well,
I have some
you
notes
wanna
for
do it
each?
after we talk to Boz, or you wanna do it now? Because we gotta get to Michelle, we gotta get to Cale.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, it's up
Okay,
to
yeah,
you
yeah,
because
let's do it coming
Let's
up
do
ab
that. Okay, so
coming out of
let's
Oz.
we'll that'd be a good way to close the
Table.
show as people get ready to attack these workouts. All right, the next, and I just mentioned it. Next big headline is that Michele Letendre has announced that she is joining HWPO as the new head coach for affiliate programming. You can see if you're watching this, the announcement that she made on Instagram on her screen. And she wrote, quote, "Today I am announcing that DECA will merge with HWPO Training, where I will be taking on the new role of head coach for affiliate programming. We've had an amazing run with DECA, and I am proud of all the accomplishments we've had over the years. As I reflect on the 7+ years of DECA's existence, I realize that the most important part of this venture was the people I was fortunate enough to have on my team as athletes, staff, coaches, and members, athletes who have taught me extremely valuable lessons, and coaches who have shown different perspectives. I'm so grateful to have had these people around me. I have not been perfect over the years, but thanks to every single relationship I've had, I have become a better person as a result. DECA will live in my heart forever, and I will benefit from the experience for all my life. Thank you for all your support over the years. I am truly grateful, Michele. And I caught up with Michele Letendre. I asked her, why was this the right time to make this move? And she said there were multiple reasons for it, both personal and professional.
I was finding it increasingly difficult to be on my own, and realizing that owning a company and managing a company is something that I didn't find a lot of joy in. And affiliate programming is something that I've been so focused on for many years. I think a lot of people didn't realize about that about my job, but the affiliate programming side of DECA was something that I was really, really focused on and wanted to improve. Then on a personal level, I was, kind of tired of being by myself. And when I reached out to HWPO a while back, just to have an idea, excuse me,
no problem,
just to get an idea and see if they were planning on launching affiliate programming, because one, if they did, it would be a whole other ball game. And two, that if they did, they would be so kind to give me a heads up as a friend. And then yeah, just the people they are, the values they have, just to me, it felt like a natural fit that I could help HWPO develop something that they don't have and that I've been working on for so long. So it's just like, it's a decision that was brought up by the fact that I was kind of feeling very lonely, being DECA and always doing these things on my own. I had a great team of coaches with me, but it still felt like a pretty lonely position.
I was able to talk to Michele for about 10 minutes. If you're one of our patrons, that entire interview will be up on Patreon. We talk a little bit about what her role is going to be at HWPO and how that might differ from what she was doing at DECA, and talked a little bit about Pat Vellner and where he is now, and why Michele thinks that he is still very much a threat to win the CrossFit Games. Love Michele Letendre. Good people. Wish her the best of luck, man. HWPO is building a juggernaut up there. And if you're interested in a bigger conversation about that, Lauren and the panel had a really good discussion, I think, about it on Death by earlier in the week. So make sure you check that out. This is a time of year where we're going to learn a lot more about people that showed up on the overall leaderboard in the open, where we went, who the hell is that guy? And the one name that comes to mind on the men's side was Cale Layman, Tommy.
Yeah, Cale was an athlete that showed up pretty much from the outset, a top 10 performance in the first open workout. And that kind of sets the sights on him for the rest of the way, because we do see some athletes show up, then fade. But Cale was able to persist and finish, 7th worldwide in the open, which immediately begs the question, who is this guy? Can he make the games? And what is his background? And so I had the chance to catch up with him, talk to him about his roots with being a part of HWPO that extend well past his time doing CrossFit, as well as his pursuits being a member of the United States Military Academy at West Point, and his athletic background as far as how he is hoping to attack the season a little bit more. Nice thing, I think, maybe it's serendipitous or not, is that you are from Vermont, and that is the home of, the 5-time fittest man on earth. How much did his being from where he's from and being in that area impact your decision to go into CrossFit? Did he influence you at all? And what has been his role in your journey so far?
Yeah, no, him being from Vermont and doing CrossFit is what got me to CrossFit. Because I worked out across the street from him as a kid, and so I'd always see him doing crazy workouts in the parking lot. And so when I got to that point, I was like, what's the hardest thing I know? I thought of, Mat Fraser out there doing yoke carries at 7 o'clock at night. And I was like, that's pretty hard. Let's do that. And then recently it's I don't know how I got so lucky to fall into this spot, but their gym's right down the street from my house. They've opened their arms and I'm so grateful for it. But having all the coaches there, Jake, Josh, Justin, all those guys helping me out has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the HWPO its crew has an awesome top-notch squad, and the gym is gorgeous. The new HQ, but I mean, it's crazy to think that you were just working out as a kid across the street from him while Fraser's doing all these yoke carries. What was even in going through your mind as a kid, seeing someone like that, working out to that extent? Were you even aware of the scope and scale of what he was doing, or was it just oh, there goes that crazy guy lifting heavy stuff again?
Well, a lot of people in the gym I was working out talked a lot of crap on CrossFit. So at the time, I was like, oh, it's just a dumb CrossFitter doing dumb workouts. But I mean, you look at the guy, you know, he's jacked as hell. So he's clearly doing something right. But no, I had no idea he was like 5-time fittest man in the world, like going to be such a star. Like, no, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy from that, you know, that little town. You have this guy who paves the way for a lot of future athletes like yourself. But you mentioned, you know, the gym you were training at, but I know you have an interesting athletic background. Correct me if I'm wrong. Played football.
Yep.
You were a goalie in hockey.
Yep.
And am I mistaken in saying you've entered a fishing competition, a major league fishing for the Abu Garcia like college fishing competition? Is that all true?
That is true. Yes.
Explain the mix of sports to me between football. I think most people wrap their head around hockey, which is a big sport in the Northeast, and playing goalie, and then you know getting into fishing. How did you come to find all those sports and athletic endeavors?
So since I was a kid, I've always been playing sports. My parents got me in at such a young age playing soccer, hockey, and baseball. And then in high school, it was soccer or hockey, football, and lacrosse. And then fishing actually recently took on in high school. I learned from a friend. He just took me out on his boat, and it was a great time. And then going to West Point, I had the opportunity to join the bass fishing team there. And from there, you just go fish competitions. And we got lucky enough to be able to enter a pro tournament. So I can now say I'm officially a pro bass fisherman, which is kind of sick.
That's awesome. You might be one of the few like CrossFit athletes that can also boast pro bass fisherman, which sounds awesome. Is there any aspect of fitness that plays into that, or is it kind of you know what you see is what you get?
It's pretty much what you see is what you get. It's a good time on the water, right? Like it's a casual hobby that I'm lucky enough to be able to say I'm a professional at.
Yeah, no doubt. And I will ask you this because I played lacrosse, and I will say whether it's soccer, hockey, or lacrosse, goalies are just a different breed. To put yourself in the line of fire of people rapidly shooting things at objects at you, you know, whether it's a puck or a lacrosse ball going 100 miles an hour. What is it about the goalie position that was attractive to you, and what is it about goalies that makes them different?
So for hockey, it started with we used to like rotate every like game. Someone else would play goalie. I tried it once. I loved the gear. I was like, you know what, this is kind of sick. I'll always volunteer to do it. And I just like fell in love with it. I love the idea like it's such a like you're individual. Like it's an individual sport on a team, right? Like it's all on you. It's yourself versus yourself at that point. But you're still a part of the team, and the team still relies on you. I love that like idea of like being out on the island by yourself, and it's like you control so much of the game, but then you also rely so much on your team.
And I mean, I'm going to pump you up here a little bit. I read that you pitched a shutout on your semifinal D1 playoffs, and I think it was maybe your junior year. Um, uh, you know, leading what Rice Memorial to the D1 finals. That's pretty legit. I mean, you have Mat Fraser to kind of model after from Vermont. Is there any hockey for all my hockey heads and puck heads? Was there any goalie or anyone that you tried to model after?
The big Carey Price fan.
Oh, okay. All right. He's not on the interview, but Sean Woodland, our co-host, is a huge hockey fan. He's going to absolutely love that. So he's going to be stoked for that. But, you know, kind of switching gears a little bit. I mean, a big aspect of your life, obviously, is being a cadet at West Point. Where did that kind of come into view? What made you want to go and follow a service academy, get into the military? And then also, you had your choice between the Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy, and West Point. What made you choose Army?
Yeah, so it didn't really fall until like probably like senior year when I started applying for colleges. I didn't really want to go to college, but I know my parents would hate that, so it threw the application in for why not, right? It's a free school, probably won't get in, whatever. We'll see what happens. And ended up getting into West Point and Air Force. Navy said no, so
Oh,
between the two, my brother went to the Air Force, so I was like, why not we go to Army? So that's kind of how it went down.
just a little bit different, maybe so you can stick it to him once you're done. You know, Army over Air Force kind of thing.
I think the Army has a cooler mission, being down on the ground versus in the air. A little bit tougher.
I love it. I got some buddies in the Air Force that I'm gonna have to send that clip over to them and just kind of give them some guff a little bit. But now that you're obviously close to graduating, I think you mentioned May is when you'll graduate. This whole fitness element that is now just kind of thrust upon you, as far as like, hey, I finished in the top 10. There's this opportunity to pursue maybe some fitness. Where does that fit in your plans? Obviously, I think there's some military obligations that happen when you go into the service academy, but also there's this a pretty cool thing called CrossFit that you're now in the spotlight for.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, my job and my career is to be an officer in the United States Army. That's what I chose. That's still what I want to do. That's still what I'm going to do. I think CrossFit, I love it. I'm still going to continue to compete. But at the end of the day, like, that comes second to being in the Army. And we'll kind of just see how it goes, how the schedule works to balance both of them. And I'll do that as long as I can.
Looking forward to seeing what Cale Layman can do, not only in quarterfinals, but maybe we get to see him at semifinals as well. What a great story that guy has.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's finding CrossFit because he was he had put on some weight, was in a tough spot, and wanted to improve that, or just, I mean, talk about a stroke of luck, right? You're from the same location as Mat Fraser, happen to just kind of see him and keep that little mental note of who this guy is, and then everything kind of comes together when you start finding some success. And HWPO's HQ is just down the road from your home when you're there on spring break. So it's plus, and I know you love Sean, and I mentioned it in the interview that you'd love him as a hockey guy and a goalie, but
those guys they got to be a different breed to do that job.
It is, and I think Cale might be the only person that can say I'm a CrossFitter and a pro bass fisherman if he makes the games. I think he could be the first person ever to make that
cool
claim.
stat.
So if that's a reason to root for him at semifinals and beyond, hopefully, then I don't know what else is.
We need characters. Characters are always good,
Yep.
Would he be North American East semifinal?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good stuff.
Well,
good luck, Cale. And good luck to everybody taking on quarterfinals over these next few days, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, okay, those are your headlines for this week.